Tough, tough shit out. You are standing fast today, all of you, before Hashem your God. Your heads of tribes, etc. From your wood choppers to your water drawers, your water carriers. This parsha, we always read on the Shabbos prior to Rosh Hashanah. Why do we read the Shabbos before Rosh Hashanah? So, in the simple sense, is we always read the Teichach Shabbos Parshas Kisaveh before Rosh Hashanah. We need to make a break between the parsha of the Teichach. We don't want to go into Yom Tov with the feeling of the Teichach of the rebuke. So, therefore, what we do is we break it up and we have Parshas Nitzavim before Rosh Hashanah. Obviously, according to Chassidus, we know that it's a much deeper connection. It's not just a place stopper, a bookmark, a placeholder, that you need to have something to separate between Parshas Kisaveh and Rosh Hashanah, but rather in the content of the parsha, the meaning of the parsha, right away in the opening of the parsha, we have concepts that relate to Rosh Hashanah. And where do we see this? That Shazel Mashakasu. This is what it says in the pasuk Atam Nitzavim. It says Hayoy. Why does it say you are standing today? Moshe Rabbeinu is addressing them. It doesn't say every single time when Moshe Rabbeinu addressed the Jewish people today. What's the emphasis on today? He says that the Rosh Hashanah. Farshim explained that it's referring this day. It's referring to this day of judgment, the day of Rosh Hashanah. That is called that the Yidden are standing fast today. They're standing upright. They're standing ready and able to receive and have this great revelation or the great judgment. They should come out worthy. It echoes as well what we say in Rosh Hashanah davening. We call it, this is the day of the beginning of your actions. So it's also the idea of Hayoim. That in Rosh Hashanah davening, we find that the day of Rosh Hashanah is called Hayoim, today. Concerning this day, it says, after Nitzavim Hayoim, that says today you are standing. So it says, Shazal, Derech, Maimer Pasik, Chaim, Kol Hayoim. Even this is similar to what the Chazal say on the Pasik, that you are alive today. It says, you that are cleaving to Hashem, your God, Chaim Kulchem Hayoim. You are today alive. So the Gemara asks on this, what does it mean to tell you that you are all today alive? Obviously, you're all today alive. Moshe Rabbeinu is not addressing people that are passed away. What's he trying to say? Chaim Kulchem Hayoim. So the Gemara actually uses it for a drasha about Tchias HaMesim. The Gemara says over there, even in a time when everybody's already passed away, you are alive. In other words, the idea of the concept of Tchias HaMesim, that it is a time of revival, that you are alive today. So that's the Gemara says, even a day where all of them, when the entire world is in a way that's dead, Atem Chaim, you are alive. Here it means, in a little bit of a deeper meaning, that even when everybody's like scared and they're in a whole fear of what's going to happen, etc., about because the day of judgment, you are alive today. You have nothing what to be worried about. So it should be able to be that you are standing today. So it has to be like the continuation of the pasuk, all of you. In other words, what assures that you are standing fast on this day of Rosh Hashanah? What enables us to have our powerful capability to be able to face Hashem Rosh Hashanah and be assured of a proper judgment and so on? Atem Nitzavim Hayoim, but not just you're standing. How? You're standing Kulchem. You're all together. You call Yisrael Biskalas Visachtas, that all Yidden should be in a way of intermingling and unity. Shouldn't be recognizable, the distinctions of details. We should be one entire stature, one entire being. And then you are standing today. Even when everybody is like not alive, you are alive because you have the power of your unity. Am Yisrael has the power of its unity of kulchem that causes that you should be nitzavim hayoy. And the Rebbe asked, line 15, we need to understand what it says afterwards, after saying that you are standing fast all today. Together, it afterwards goes ahead and enumerates all different levels, heads of tribes, and then it talks even till all the way to the water carriers, those that draw the water. The Lachur is seemingly, since it already says all of you, already in all of you, it includes all the details. It includes the heads of tribes. It includes the elderly. It includes the water carriers. It includes the wood choppers. So why does he afterwards enumerate all the 10 different levels of the Yidden that's enumerated over there in the pasuk? Because it's not just different people, but the Shechem are head, and then the Kenechem are elders, and then there's the water carriers, which we said are those Gadim that came from that tricked Moshe and Yeshua and so on. So they're not just different people; they're also different levels of Yidden. But what need is there to go ahead and enumerate all the different levels of the Yidden once we already spoke about them together? As line 19, especially according to what's explained. The main idea of when we say that there's all of you, all of you, the main point is that it should be felt, we should feel ourselves like we're all part of one body. Not I'm a hand and you're a foot and he's a head and they're a nose. No, the main thing is we are all one functioning body. We are all together. It should not be felt the details and the different divisions of levels. According to this comes out, the very fact that the Torah does enumerate over here immediately after all the specific levels amongst the Yidden, it comes to be contradictory to the idea of all of you. So therefore, it's contradictory to all of you. So if you're like undermining what you're trying to say, and you're trying to emphasize is how the Yidden are all one, and how the Yidden are all together, and they do not see themselves distinct one from another. So then you go bring in distinctions. Why bring in distinctions? Why emphasize? Why speak about the distinctions? The whole point is that our unity is what brings us about, not our distinctions. The Rebbe goes on to say, "Ve'ein loimer," top of page Vav, "Ma shebe meshekos roshechem shiftechem goyim ein hakavana lechalukya prot bishakol sugu v'fnei atzmei." It doesn't mean to say over here the divisions of the details, the way every single level and every single type stands on their own. Rather, it's coming to explain the word what says kulchem. That the intention over here is your heads of tribes, and that's the meaning over here. That's the purpose that he's trying to explain. If that was the purpose, if he's just trying to say that, what do I mean by kulchem? I mean by kulchem, who are the kulchem? I mean Roshechem and Shiftechem, Ziknechem and Shemem Becha and Chagvet Secha. That's what he's trying to tell you. He's trying that you shouldn't miss anybody out from this equation of kulchem. So if that's the point, so then you don't have to go into so many details. The Rebbe says in line 4 of the Cain, if that's the point he's trying to say, he should have said from your heads until those that draw the water, those that draw the take that are the water carriers. Since he feels it necessary to go through all the specific details and go through all the 10 different kinds, movement, it's understood, Shakavani, Loidak Lafarish Tevis Kulchem, then the intention is not just to explain the word Kulchem, all of you. It also intends the division of the details, the way every type is on its own, because or else there would not be a need to indicate every single level specifically. Moving for this understood, the Rebbe says in line 9, the Rosh Hashanah, the avoid of Rosh Hashanah, there's both components, Heining and Heisachtas Haklal. But often the Kaimach Hashlem, both the idea of the unity of the whole and the entirety, in a way of seeing us all as one entire entity, one entire stature, one entire being, one entire person. And also the division of the details, each one individually and specifically. So both are part of this avodah of Rosh Hashanah, both the level of those that are, both that concept of our klal and our level of our prat, of our details. Any questions before we go on?
You said they fooled Moshe.
I'm sorry?
What was that about? You said something about these people fooled Moshe. What was that?
Yeah, Rashi speaks about it. You can see in the Chumash, and Rashi explains over there were those that came and they were from the nations that were supposed to be defeated, and they said they came from afar and they want to become converted. You look it up over there in Rashi. I'm not going to go into it right now. So they weren't even, they shouldn't have really been accepted as Yidden and so on. Okay, let's continue. Line 13, Ois base. The happens that we have to understand this. Yesh lahagdim, we have to preface it. Do us no. The main service of a person is to draw down lights into vessels. Now, a lot of this mimer is going to go into the idea of the contrast of Oris and Kalim and how they work together, and how the sources of Oris and Kalim work together. Shem Havaya, Shem Elokim, the Oir Shalifnei Tzimtzum, the Tzimtzum and the Kav, many different levels, and he's going to work his way up. He's going to start with Oris and Kalim and then say in a similar way, higher and higher. He says, the ultimate purpose is to make for Hashem a home down here below. What's the preparation for making a home for Hashem down here below? Every type of revelation needs to go through the process of through the lights becoming enclosed in the vessels. That's why in many Sifrei Kabbalah it speaks about that with this mitzvah we draw down light into this vessel, and with this mitzvah we make a union between these spheres, because these are all the channels and portals through which we cause the divine life force, the energy and the revelation of Hashem to come down here into this world. So the Rebbe goes on to say in line 18, the idea behind this is the lights, that's not state revelation. They're in a way of an ascent and in a way of a cleaving to Hashem, that they are recognizably cleaving. Like, for example, sunlight. Sunlight is clear and open how it emanates from the sun. It's not something that's disguised. So its relationship with its source is open and clear. That is the same thing with Oiris. Oiris is about a revelation of whatever level it's coming from. So it's a clear connection. It's called a dveikus nikeres. It's a clear unity. It's a clear connection with its source. The vessels come about just the opposite. How does it come out something that looks like it is a receiver? In other words, it's not part of what came before. It's receiving, and it's bringing a new form to it, chachma, chesed, and so on. This only comes about through a cessation. This comes about through tzimtzum arishin, etc. So when there is this first tzimtzum, So then there's a stoppage of light, and that's where the possibility for vessels comes into being, and so on. So vessels is not about being connected in and of themselves. The oil afterwards has to come into the vessels and reveal that connection, as we'll soon speak about. So the vessels are in a state of concealment. Both they are concealed, their connection, and also they conceal on the light. What the Vek is built in the keres. Though the Kalim are also cleaving to Hashem, as we know the famous expression in the Tikkun Zohar, that Hashem is one with his lives, meaning the others, and he is one with the bodies, meaning the vessels. So Hashem is joined with the vessels of Atzilus as well. And sure, levels are higher than Atzilus. But that union and that joining is not like the light and its source in the luminary. It's a union that's like behind the scenes, that's not recognizable. That the Vek is built in the keres. In Cain, if so, therefore the lights in the vessels are opposite one from another. This is revelation and this is concealment. This is connection and this is like externally disconnection. How can it be the joining of the two when they are such opposites, lights and vessels? Top of page Zion, he says, since the light feels and is aware of the advantage and the quality of the vessel. This brings down that the Kalim, even though they seem to be more distant and more disconnected from the source than the Oiris, still in all, the Kalim have a higher source. Very famous expression, the root of the vessels are higher than the root of the light. Therefore, the light chooses and wants to come down into the vessel because it recognizes the greatness of the Kalim. This is similar to also why the Neshama is willing to come down to the body, because it recognizes and sees the greater quality and the essence that's concealed in the body. The body really has a higher connection with Hashem than even the Neshama has. And because of that, it's willing to descend. So because the light is aware of what the Keli is really about, what's really going on behind the scenes with the Keli, so he says in line 2 on page Zion, so now the light, what's light? Light shines a light on something. Light reveals something. So light is not just about revealing its own connection with the Moed, but the light, by going into the vessel, now makes the vessel and makes in the vessel be revealed and seen and lit up the vessel's great source, the vessel's great level. Again, let's use the analogy of the neshama and the guf. The body itself, you look at it, seems to be disconnected from Hashem. But when the neshama comes into the body and affects the body and does Torah mitzvahs with the body, that reveals the inherent, essential, higher than the neshama quality the body has. In a similar vein, the Oiris do the same thing to the Kalim. And therefore, because the Oiris do this to the Kalim, so he says in line 3, because of this, there could be the joining between the lights and the vessels. The light is in a way of revelation. So this is the beginning of the answer of what we asked before. The Oiris and the Kalim are two opposites. How can the Oiris and the Kalim, that are two opposites, work together? So he says, you know why? Because the Oir reveals and sees the true advantage of the Kalim, therefore can work with it, therefore can join with it. And now he explains the reason why. The light is in the way of revelation. So in everything that the light is drawn to it, so he feels and also reveals in it its advantage and its quality. This is what I said before. Light is about revelation. Since its nature is revelation, anything that it comes in contact with, it wants to reveal it. It wants to show its advantage. It wants to shine a light on it. That's the idea that the light feels and is aware of the advantage of the vessel. That, what did we say before? The vessel is just the opposite of light. It's about concealment. So seemingly, what type of advantage, what type of light can you show, can you shine upon concealment? So he says, line H, what's the advantage in the concealment of the vessels? The root of the keli is from Hashem's capability not to illuminate, which is higher and more powerful than the capability to illuminate. Just like by a person, just spreading myself out, just allowing myself to be without any constrictions is not as powerful as someone that contains themselves. I remember when I learned by Melech Tzvivel, and we were learning that that the lashon that's brought down Kabbalah and Avodas HaKodesh specifically, that just like his power is in Bligvul, Hashem's power is in the infinite, so too is his power in the finite, because if not, you are detracting and you are taking away from his perfection. And I remember speaking to him about this, and he explained any wild person, any undisciplined person is the essential nature of Bligvul. He has no boundaries. He has no limitations. He does whatever he wants. What's the difference between an adult and a child? That he knows how to control himself. He doesn't take something that's not his. He doesn't eat without a brach, etc., etc. So discipline, control, gvul is a much more powerful energy than just Bligvul out of the. So keli, which is about concealment and covering and making a stop and limitation, comes from that power of Hashem that he had a choice not to illuminate. And from that came about keli. And the choice to not illuminate, that's a more deeper and powerful area, if you will, in Hashem, than the power to illuminate. So he says in line 10, yet, Hakli mitzadas me the vessel on its own. Held them since it's in a state of concealment. Vek is built in a keres in a way of an unrecognizable joining with Hashem. So therefore, ein malos in their geshes boy. So looking at the keli itself, you do not recognize its advantage and quality. Baraka or daf kivushin yoni will give only specifically the light. The idea behind the light is revelation. How do you margish miles sakli? So he feels the advantage of the vessel. He also reveals in the vessel his advantage and his quality. By days and through that could be the joining of the lights in the vessels, because the light reveals the advantage of the vessel. Both from the perspective of the light and also from the perspective of the vessel. Therefore, he's able to cause a union from both of their sides. Both of them see their commonality and what they have to join together. We'll stop over here. People got to do slichas.